and welcome to another edition of Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham, where Team Needham discusses everything healthcare. I'm your host, Shawn Needham, along with my wonderful wife, Janet, and we are streaming live from the Team Needham podcast studio, and we are super excited to have Kayla Neal on our podcast today. She's going to be talking about perimenopause and weight loss, and if you follow Janet and I enough, we talk about hormones quite often and how perimenopause and menopause can affect women's weight loss journey. So, Kayla, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Do you want the long version or the short version?
We got 30 minutes, so the long version.
Okay. So I've been in the industry for 32 years. I'm 49 in Holden. I'll be 50 this year. And I would say probably my biggest pivot was when I moved to Santa Barbara 18 years ago and found myself quickly divorced 5 months after the move with a 4, 7, and 9-year-old. So even though I had been in the industry and have always loved it, I was a dancer my whole life. So going in the early 90s, going into group fitness was a pretty natural, right, lead in with the step aerobics and all of that back in the day. I found myself as a single mom. And so that's honestly when Kayla Johnson Fitness was born. It was time to take it to the next level. So I quickly became a private trainer, which I was already doing. Again, it was more of a hobby because it was a heart space for me. So this was really an opportunity to reinvent myself in this time in my early 30s. And since then, I've owned and sold 4 businesses. I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur. I just sold my spin studio. I actually closed escrow on that last month. So that's really exciting. Was able to sell it to the younger generation of women who can happily do spin classes every single day and not have their hormones drastically affected. But anyway, I would say probably my next pivot in the industry was COVID. And that probably sounds familiar to anybody who's listening. I think there was a lot of pivots that were happening during that time, air fryers and golden doodles and divorces and jumping ship. And I'm in California, so a lot of people were jumping ship. It was a very weird time, as I'm sure you can, echo, right? And in that time of chaos, I'm remarried of almost 11 years. We have 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls between the 2 of us. So it was a bit of circling the wagons and bringing everybody back. It was just a very upside down time. I also was trying to survive my little spin studio, and I was dragging my spin bikes in and out of my studio multiple times a day and fighting with the district attorney and fighting with the neighbors because my music was too loud. It was a lot of chaos. Well, at 44 years old, I also found myself in perimenopause and didn't realize that I was struggling in perimenopause because it was so clouded by the chaos of the world. And I struggled a lot. And I have to say that I'm somebody who has never really struggled. But to be fair, let me asterisk this, okay? To be fair, I've always done the work. I've always shown up to my fitness. I've always taken care of myself. I definitely have been part of the diet culture as I've grown up in the industry and kind of tried all the things and realized that all the things didn't work. But I definitely have always taken care of myself. And I found myself in this midlife space, which, to be clear, 5 years ago, I couldn't define the word perimenopause. Nobody had talked to me about perimenopause. I never had any education about it. It was for old people. So that clearly was not my issue. I mean, It didn't even occur to me that I had come into the space of midlife. In my training tenure, had 0 experience with this actual topic. And so it was really just, again, I blamed it on COVID because we were drinking more and eating more and our schedules were just upside down. So this is going to sound poetic in hindsight. There was nothing poetic about this moment, but the 28 years that I had already spent in the industry absolutely got me ready for that moment. I just couldn't see it. And the reason for that is because I know myself. I guess that's the blessing of getting older, right? Is that we get to know ourselves. And I am somebody who figures things out. I will just hold on, fingernails into the side of the mountain and claw my way there. I'm like a dog on a bone. And I thought, and this was in the chaos of being completely lost, by the way. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to figure this out because that's just who I am. And when I do, it's going to be my responsibility to get out there and help women. And I cannot say that that has not been anything but the truth. It has been a whirlwind. And what's wild is how many women are suffering in silence like I was, and what a lack of education we have and a lack of awareness we have. And so that has gotten me to the space that I'm in. But the second part of the space that I'm in is the whole world went to Zoom. And I'm a bricks and mortar girl. I'm a fitness girl. Like, let's do bicep curls and squats and ride a spin bike and do kickboxing. I never even thought about the virtual space. and realizing, and now I talk to people, I have clients all over the country, and being able to get outside of my own backyard just really kind of opened up my vision for what I could create. And I went to work with my spin studio because that's what I had. I had a bunch of women in my spin studio, and I said, all right, let's talk. And I'm sure you could probably guess, right? Belly fat, fat in the weirdest places, not sleeping, achy joints, horrible mood. I mean, I was just like, I was in a space where I couldn't even stand myself. That's a horrible space to be in, right? So I figured out by grabbing these women and saying, okay, let me just do some market research here. Let me just do some beta testing and figure out what's going to work. And that's where I created my 90-day accountability program, where I truly do specialize in midlife. And ironically, during that space of time, when we flipped over to Zoom, I mean, like the whole world went to Zoom in 24 hours, right? It was just like everybody was in the virtual space. I was training almost all men. So it was this real flip-flop of intention. Of course, I, phased everybody out. I didn't just like kick them to the curb. But it was definitely an intentional move into this space. And I've never looked back. It's been amazing.
Awesome. Janet, what questions do you have for Kayla?
So
that was quick and a lot.
Right. So doing what we do, we work in the hormone balancing space as pharmacists.
Yeah.
So share with us what happened when you went to your healthcare provider, because I think people need to hear this.
Yes.
Share what your journey was there.
So when I finally, such a great question, and I'm glad you're asking me to highlight this. When I finally realized, when I yielded to the fact that I could potentially be getting older and that this could potentially be what was happening with me, I did what a lot of us, I think, do, is we ask our friends. And I had friends that were older than me. I live in a very small town, and they were like, don't even bother, go concierge. Don't even bother. Like, you're going to go into your OBGYN. You're going to be prescribed an antidepressant. You're going to be gaslit. You're going to be told all kinds of things. And to be clear, I was still slightly gaslit by my concierge OBGYN. I hate to say that, but I'm a truth teller. So that's just what happened to me. So I'm a deep researcher on everything before I take action. And so I had done so much research and had so many conversations. I never even contacted my OBGYN. I just never even went there because I was, and maybe she would have been pleasant. Maybe I would have been pleasantly surprised, but based on all the conversations I was having, they're like, don't even do it. So I went to a concierge. I threw some money at the problem, and I went to a concierge physician, and I definitely got what I needed from a hormone replacement therapy perspective because I was educated and I was an advocate for my own health. And I knew exactly, almost down to the milligram, what I thought that I was going to need. And I was right. I mean, that's how researched I went in. And that's what I tell women, like, take control of your situation, because unfortunately, as the three of us know, these physicians, they come by it honestly because they didn't have the education in medical school. But unless they take it upon themselves to get that further education, right, they're not going to know how to care for us. No. And so I got that. That was all great. Okay. So I'm going to give you a double answer to this question. I'm of the school of thought that there's no such thing as a silver bullet. The answer is there is no answer. There's no such thing as monotherapy. I liken it to an orchestra with all of these instruments, and all of these instruments are responsible for playing this music together. There's not one thing that's going to solve your problem, but damn it, if I wasn't hoping it was hormone replacement therapy, because I was desperate and I was gaining weight and I was stuck. So it answered a lot of questions for me. I was sleeping again. I didn't want to kill my husband. I mean, like, it really, like, my skin evened out. It answered a lot of questions, but it didn't touch the weight gain. It did not touch the bloating for 9 months. And my concierge physician told me that I would get used to my menopause weight in 5 years. That was her answer. And I was like, well, you're fired. This relationship is over.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Find a new doctor.
I was like, have we met? Have we met? Do you know who I am? I'm Kayla Johnson Fitness. That is the wrong answer. So again, you just have to go back to the drawing board, which is exactly what I did. You have to go back to the drawing board. So Janet, I talk to like probably 50, 60 women a week. We could sit here all afternoon and talk about the horror stories of what physicians say to people.
We hear them every day.
Every day. Yeah. That's what I mean. The three of us to just sit here and talk about it is absolutely wild, which I'm just like, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. There's just a lack of education in the space. I was doing a Instagram live with one of my favorite OBGYNs yesterday. We're just like, I love it. She's like, we're boots on the ground. You and me, we're boots on the ground. That's how it feels. It feels like we're just like on a mission, right?
Well, have you heard of the M Factor movie?
No. The M Factor.
Just saw it last night. Are you still there, Kayla?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Did we lose you?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
You
Okay, our internet kind of went weird.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the M Factor movie?
No, I haven't.
No. I'm gonna just so we have it, I'm gonna post it up here. I wasn't ready for this.
Well,
go ahead and talk about it, Janet.
I'm going to speak to this slightly because, first of all, I think the purpose of this this film is great because it's shedding light on kind of what we're talking about right now about how the journey through perimenopause and menopause is really misunderstood. But from my perspective, women's health has been totally misunderstood from the time we go through puberty to the time we pass. And the only segment of our health that seems to get focused on is fertility. And I still think they have it wrong. You know, our health journey, as far as how we take care of ourselves and how we support our hormones, has to start early in life. And the earlier you see people being healthy, like young women, the longer their or the better their outcomes are. Because when you have somebody who's going through these big changes of peri and menopause, if they've never exercised, if they've never worked out, if they've never handled their stress, this is so hard. And we should be starting with our little girls. And we went to this movie theater, and one of the questions a mother put towards the panel after the movie was, you know, I had to decide whether I take care of myself or I feed my children or take care of my children. And really, that's not how we should look at it. I mean, I know that's hard from a mother, but you need to take care of yourself first before you can take care of your family. And
agreed.
I feel like whether it's our culture, our education, our family, you know, all that has played into how we are digesting this and living it out. But you know, for you were in a good space because you know what it feels like to be you in the right body, because you're not going to accept it, right? But somebody who's never felt that, I mean, it's tough.
It's really tough. And how have I not heard of this movie? What's even happening?
So, well, we just barely heard of it, and we're in this space just like you are.
Okay.
It's called. Let me share it again.
It's called the
now I feel a little bit better. I feel a little bit better about that.
Yeah. It's called the M Factor. We just saw it last night.
And basically, what it's about is just exposing what journey women are in the healthcare industry, which is peri and menopause, which is great. I will say this. I still think there's a lot of education because Shawn and I have been doing this for nearly 3 decades. So we're hearing terms and we're hearing things going, but at the same time, good for us that we are having voices out there discussing, you know, the problems that we're having. And, you know, we can work out the little details. But, you know, with your journey, I guess where I want to go with this is that I know if we have a prescriber prescribe hormones, that's not the whole picture. That's a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and in this movie, they talk about people that, you know, they interview people that were treated just like you. And of course, Janet and I hear it all the time. Oh, you know, you need an antidepressant. You need I think you're going psycho. You need an antipsychotic. What do you mean you're not sleeping? You need a medication to help you sleep. You need a medication for your anxiety. It's like, no, it's hormones. There's more going on. But most people don't listen And that's what the most important thing is that we just need to listen to people and believe them.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
So tell us a story about how you've a dramatic change that you've made in somebody's life.
Well, that's a really great story. Actually, she's a bit younger, so she's definitely not somebody who's in perimenopause or menopause yet. But she is the woman who actually purchased my spin studio, and she came to us at 28 years old. She's probably 27 years old when she found our studio, and about 80 pounds overweight. In fact, she actually fell off her spin bike the first time she was in class with us. And through the journey of working with me and really working on her nutrition, and again, taking, like we just talked about, a holistic approach to her wellness, and of course, moving her body, she lost that weight. She's phenomenal. And then about 2 years ago, became one of our star instructors. And then she just bought the studio. So she's probably one of my favorite success stories. She's like my little Cinderella. Just so amazing. But like, getting women, like, just to speak to what you said just a few minutes ago, like women, that's probably one of my favorite things to do, is to get women off the couch and teach them how to weight train, and like, welcome to the rest of your life, and always reminding them that it's never too late. It's never too late, but
Right.
taking that first step and not going crazy. I'm really good at meeting people where they are and slowly progressing the journey, and not the acceptance that you don't actually get somewhere. You're not getting there. You're just on this journey, forever, never, amen. And getting women moving. And I'm always talking about weight training. I mean, I'm a perimenopause weight loss coach. What are the two things that I'm hammering? Protein
Yeah.
and weight training.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be a lot of confusing information out there, like with the Instagram propaganda and all this stuff, but there's two things that if you're listening to somebody in perimenopause, we're talking about weight training and we're talking about protein. Like, it's exhausting, but it happens to be true. We've just turned into a meme in our weighted vest, but I mean, it just happens to be true. Like, we got to approach it differently. So taking women, that's probably one of my favorite things, is that it may not be some big dramatic 80-pound weight loss like it was for Haley, but when I get these unsolicited messages, which I get every single day, about, oh, my weight loss is 25 pounds and I'm fitting into my jeans again. And just all of the things that we want for our clients, just to feel, it's not about a number on a scale. It's
Right.
about how you feel, right? It's never about how you look. It's how you feel about how you look. Bathroom scales are absolutely off limits when you work with me. I love body composition. That's different. But bathroom scales are off limits. We don't count calories. I do a lot of brain surgery. That's probably primarily what I do, because someone who comes to me who has, 25 pounds to lose at 55 could potentially have some stories that we need
Right.
to untangle, right? I mean, if you're an 80s and 90s girl, we've done it. We've done the things. We've done the damage. So those things stick. And then when you're younger, when you've got this really resilient body that's juicy and full of hormones and just can be abused, you learn that worked. And what you
Right.
had on your side was youth, right?
Yeah, you can get away with a lot of stuff when you're younger.
Oh,
But,
totally.
right.
Totally. Absolutely.
It,
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I mean, both my boys are 25 and 23, and both of them are healthy. But when I see them eat a plate of food, I just
Oh,
think,
yeah,
I wish I could do that.
absolutely. I mean, they do. We have 3 boys, 25, 22, and 19. And I mean, they'll order 2 meals in a restaurant. I'm like, okay,
Oh,
just
yeah.
have a
Yeah.
protein shake before we leave the house. Like, just settle it down.
Oh, they would do that, but they'd still eat 2 meals.
Oh, it's obnoxious. And then when you do it with other people's families, it's even, I had my son was visiting his friend in Colorado, and his friend's grandparents came into town. So they're, of course, yeah, Tommy, come along. He ordered 2 breakfasts. I'm like, stop embarrassing me. That's just like people you don't know very well. Order 1 breakfast. I always say it, youth is wasted on the young. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like you're in the throes of it. You take it for granted. We've all been there. We all do it. You come by it so honestly, but it is definitely wasted on the young. They can get away with a lot.
So tell me about your Instagram page. Is that how the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah. Kayla Johnson Fitness, or KaylaJohnsonFitness.com. Again, my focus is, oh, there's my hubby. My focus is, oh, there's Dr. Tina. That's what I did yesterday. I was telling you I did an Instagram live, but my focus is midlife and really helping women, either get to the next level if they've been doing all the things. Now all the things have just stopped working, or really taking somebody into midlife gracefully.
Awesome. So I see some of your workouts here. Tell me how long, I know it's different for everybody, but in general, how many days a week and how long should somebody be in the gym a week if they're doing strength training?
Yeah, I love that. It's a great question. If somebody is not doing any kind of movement, they're not doing any weight training at all, they're starting from scratch, I recommend getting up 3 or 4 mornings a week and doing 5 minutes of body weight movement. And when I mean that, I mean squats. And if they're clients of mine, I'm like, send me a video. I want to make sure your knees are over your ankles, but I want to make sure the form looks nice. But squats and push-ups, a set of crunches, maybe some alternate lunges, just movement. And then once we master just getting used to movement, if somebody is already in the throes of weight training, in my opinion, I think that 3 days a week at 30 minutes is an absolute home run. It's an absolute A+. I try to get in 4 to 5 days a week. I'm type A. So I try to get in 4 to 5 days a week. And I'm a recovering cardio addict. I'll probably always be in recovery. So I try to really pare it back and do a lot of walking, which again, in my mind, I'm like, now I feel like my husband and I are like the old people that troll the neighborhood. I'm like, oh, there they are again. There's the Neals. There they are.
There they are again.
Yeah, there they are. I mean, I remember. Don't you vividly remember the people that were walking your neighborhood when you were younger? You're like, oh,
yeah.
cute old people walking the neighborhood. Oh, and you know what? Guess what? I got a lot of time back. I'm not obsessing over 2 hours of cardio a day. I mean, really, I mean it. I know it sounds like I'm joking, but when you think that you are burning calories when you do cardio, and that is so ingrained into what you think. I mean, I've not thought this for 15 years, to be clear, but that dies hard. That like beat down cardio where you have to wring your clothes out. It's like almost like you wear it like a badge of honor. That really does die hard. And I've just learned the hard way. I learned everything the hard way. So I'm like, that's why I was telling my clients, Kayla, I already screwed it up. Listen, I already screwed it up 20 times. I got this. But like, you just have to back it down. You got to back it down. Women would be fat burning machines if they would just do some weight training and some walking and just bring back some common sense into the kitchen. Let's get out of packages. Let's eat single ingredient foods. Let's watch the alcohol intake. I mean, it really isn't rocket science, but it definitely takes some accountability in someone to kind of show you the way. But
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the problems is that people make it too complicated.
Absolutely.
And, and Jan and I are we're cardio addicts. We're not really cardio addicts, but we are cyclists. So, in order to be at a top level, you have to put in the hours. You just really do.
Absolutely.
So when people talk to us, they're like, well, I don't want to ride my bike 10 hours a week or whatever. It's like, well, you don't have to at all. You don't even have to come close to that, especially like you say, the easiest people to treat are the ones that are doing nothing right now.
Absolutely. I love taking somebody from scratch, because if not, you got to undo stuff.
Exactly. If somebody says, well, I work out 1 hour, 5 days a week. Well, this is going to be tougher because we're going to have to pull some of that back and they're going to freak out. And,
Right. And, even like in our space with women that ride bike, I mean, your cycling and swimming does not help your bones. I'm not saying that there isn't some benefits, but you have to get that weight, and walking is weight bearing and lifting weights. I mean, you just can't get that out of the picture. And it is so critical, I think, that we prevent and work towards keeping strong bones, because that's something we don't talk about at all to women. We don't say, it's after, you have this, and we're going to give you this. Well, I don't want those meds, for one. They're horrible. But, this journey needs to be talked about early in life. Like, we need to know what we need to do to take care of those bones. So you can't get away with not lifting. You just can't.
No, you can't. You just can't. And I really think I got so lucky. I had a boyfriend back in the Gold's Gym days where I started teaching aerobics, and he was in the weight room. And so I followed him in there because he was cute and the other boys were cute. I was the only 19-year-old in there. And I stayed because I loved how I felt. Never did I ever think I was making deposits for 90-year-old Kayla. Let's be real.
Right.
I was in there
Right.
because the boys were
Right.
cute. And then I felt strong. And then I stayed. And I am so fortunate that I have literally never stopped weight training since I was 19 years old. Never, not for a day. I mean, I took a rest day, but like it has always been a
Right.
thread of what I've done. And I have to remember that that is so atypical. Like that is just not
It
how
is.
women really came to the table. Right. And so I love, just to echo what you said, I love taking women who are just little baby lifters and just teaching them the basics. And they always love it.
Right.
They always love it. It's so fun. It's different, and getting them, I always tell them I love Pilates. Pilates has such a great place in your life for form and core strength and placement. It is not lifting. It is not lifting. You can do it. It's great, but it's not lifting. So yeah, I mean, we have I have my work cut out for me. There's a lot of women for me to get to.
For sure. And one thing, I think you mentioned, Kayla, that it's never too late.
Right.
And that is totally true. I don't care if you're 80 years old. It is not too late.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But also, I would add to that, it's never too early. As parents, now our kids are grown, kind of like yours are, but it's never too early to teach them young either, because they're watching you. And one of the reasons my kids go to the gym, I'm sure they would probably not admit this because they're too proud, but one of the reasons they go to the gym regularly is because when they were teenagers, I taught them how to lift, and they would see me lift, and that's why they do it. And I will say this too.
Go ahead.
What's that? Well,
no, I was going to say, isn't that some of your funnest times, going to the gym with your kids, with your boys?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They would get upset sometimes though, when I would make them work hard, or it was early in the morning.
Now, like I was thinking about, I wasn't there, but my husband was down at a Dodger game and he was with the boys and he was sending me pictures of them lifting. And actually his 85-year-old mom was in the gym with them. And I just thought, this is so cool.
It is.
Right?
Yeah,
this is
it really
cool.
is.
They're all in the gym together. I love it. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What were you saying?
Well, no, that's great. Well, one of the things is that I will say, and I've done this before too. I mean, I started lifting when I was 14 years old, and 40 years ago, there were like the only people that lifted were bodybuilders and power lifters. It was still, I mean, basketball players didn't lift because it was going to make them bulky, and golfers didn't lift. And that now every sport that if you want to excel at it, I don't care if you're a race car driver, you're going to lift weights.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I think starting early also, later on in life, and I can't explain it, and I know physiologically or scientifically it'd be very difficult to explain, but later on in life, when you put that muscle memory in play and you add muscle early on in life, it is going to pay dividends. Even if you stop lifting for 5 or 10 years, it is going to pay dividends, especially when you start up again. Because I know when I took a break for about a decade and I started up again, it was so easy to put on muscle mass. It was incredibly easy. So starting early is important also.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. The children are absolutely watching what we do. And then that's another thing when we're talking about women in particular, is getting them to kind of what we said a few minutes ago, really subscribe to, you should not be at the end of the line.
Right. You should
right.
be at the start. You should be at the start.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know. I wish I knew where I learned that. Maybe it was survival because I was a single mom with 3 small kids. I learned that so early on that if I was taken care of, I was just a much better human being. I was a better mom. I was a better partner. I was a better everything. So that's one that is like, woof, I'm still working on how to get that across with women, that has got to change. We've got to put ourselves first. And when children watch us taking care of ourselves, it's just one of the best things that we can do for them. And all of our 6 children live a life of fitness, every single one of them in a very different way, but they're all very active.
I love it. I'm not surprised. Yeah.
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 It's cool.
I'm not surprised. So as we wrap this podcast up, Kayla, what do you have a passion for?
I mean, besides helping women, besides paying it forward and helping women, really like I was talking to a client of mine this morning. I'm like, I'm working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week right now. And she's like, well, don't get burned out. I mean, really nice advice, right? Like, don't get burned out. I'm like, well, first of all, I work for myself. So it's self-induced, to be clear. And I just am obsessed with what I get to do. When I get to help women and watch those mental shifts, it's like, again, it feels so cliche, but like, it's literally what I'm supposed to be doing. My tenure in the industry got me ready for where I am now. I was talking with my friend, Dr. Tina, when we did our Instagram live yesterday, and we both were saying that, like, we're in this position and we have the ability to help women, one woman at a time, both of us, one woman at a time. But it's such a rewarding, I'm so grateful that I am doing something that I enjoy so much. So that's my answer.
I absolutely love that. Yeah, that's an awesome answer. And I can say that we echo that because Janet and I absolutely love what we're doing. Making people get healthy is incredibly rewarding.
It's so rewarding. And we spend the majority of our lives working. So I feel really grateful that that's what I get to do every day.
But you know what? Right. Because do what you love to do and you'll never work another day in your life.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously.
Exactly. Seriously.
So Kayla, tell us the best way to get a hold. If anybody has any questions, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
KaylaJohnsonFitness.com or Kayla Johnson Fitness on Instagram, for sure.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Kayla, for being on our podcast today. You've helped us realize our goal, which is to educate and empower individuals to take charge of their own health. So thank you for being on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.